Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another evening, a special live, a very special live. I'm so excited. You know how this works. We're going to give everybody a chance to come on in. We're going to say hello first. So look at this. Dee says, "Hey, I'm so excited. I joined in two platforms." Hello, Dee. Thank you for being here. Nikki, hello, hello, hello. Amber, hello. And Jody, hello. And Jody, back to back. It's like Jody, and the Lisa, and the Cult Champ. Hello, Ashley. Hello, thank you for being here. Renee, hello, thank you for being here. Melanie, hello from the UK. Wow, it's late, super late in the UK. Vicky, hello, thank you for being here. Hey, Jill, Anna, Timokanis Posise. How are you, my friend? Anna's my friend from the East Coast. Jeremy, hello. Danielle, hello. Angie, hello. Joyce and Deanna. Nikki says, "Have my pen and paper all ready to take notes."
Excellent.
Awesome. Dolores says, "Greetings and salutations." Hello, Chris from Iowa. Thank you for being here. And Dina, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Go Dodgers. Lynn, hello. Thank you for being here, Lynn. That's a great picture of you, Lynn. That's a great picture. Thanks everybody for being here. Eva and Shelly and Tommy, good to have you here as well. Coffee and notes ready. I finally remembered. That's awesome. And guess what? We're all good. We're all good. Everybody, we are all good. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, everybody. So it is with great honor, great joy, great happiness that I introduce you to my friend and author. Look at this beautiful book. Amy Reeves has created this great book, College to Career Explained: Tools, Skills, Confidence for Your Job Search. This isn't just for college grads, guys. It's for everybody. It is for everybody. And you and I have known each other for about a year and a half now.
I think
right?
so. I think a couple of
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
And we not only have a client relationship, it has really turned into a friendship. And I am so honored to have you as my friend, and super, super, triple, quadrupled honored to have you being on here. Do you want to tell people a little bit about your story?
Me too, Elias. I love being part of your world, and thank you so much for
Thanks.
inviting me onto your live.
Of
I'm
course.
thrilled to tell you my story and the story behind the book. So I have had a career that I have loved for about 35 years as a business executive. I've been started out life as a banker, and then I went on to business school and became a global management consultant for many, many years, where I worked in a lot of different industries and got to see a lot of different companies and the way that they functioned, and a lot of different jobs. And then I went on to start my own small company. And then I went to one of my clients, was a corporate executive. Then I became a nonprofit executive. And along the way, I had two experiences that very much made me who I am, that are very difficult. The first one, and they were career transition experiences. The first one was the transition getting out of college. And that was a terrible transition for me. I thought I had done everything right. I went to a good school. I got a good GPA. I had good campus leadership experiences. I thought I had done a good job getting office experience, but I couldn't get fancy internships. I had to work in the summers. And what I didn't do was be able to get interviews or be able to get the kind of job that I wanted. So I worked for a year as an admin for a job that I got out of the New York Times classifieds. And what I did was teach myself how to get the kind of job that I wanted, that all my friends had gotten. And it was on a bank training program. And when I got that job, it turned out I was good at it and I really liked it. And a lot of my friends, a lot of women who had been turned away from those kinds of high powered jobs, kind of never really got back into trying to get them. And it was a terrible waste. And I was really happy that I had worked hard to be able to go after that track, and was successful in it. And I spent the rest of my career, and now full time for the last 10 years, doing all that I could to help others make it over that over that breach, because I really didn't think there was a lot of resources, and still are not, to help people make that transition. And it's really difficult to make the transition, because I think that there are not the resources that you really need. And that's why I've always wanted to write this book. And about 10 years ago, I did have the opportunity to do this full time. And this book is the result of the work that I have been doing, in combination with the fact that I was a hiring manager for 25 years. And there's just a lot of things that no one ever tells you, and still nobody ever does. And I'm really proud of what's in this book. I also, the past 10 years, have worked with people in transition. That was the second big experience that I had. Was I suddenly became a single mother, and I knew how to be a consultant, but I also had to travel a lot, and I couldn't be a single mother and travel all the time. So what I did do was, I knew how to run a consulting firm. So I became a manager of several offices of consulting firms in an industry that I'd never worked in before, which was pharmaceutical research. So I loved doing that. I did it myself. I couldn't find any resources to help me, and got lucky too, but I also really worked at it. And so I also help a lot with people in transition, because I know how hard that can be. And when I took 10 years ago, started to do this full time, I put together the basic, most common sense methodology I possibly could. And turns out it works for people at all levels, from college grads to C-suite executives. And that's what I've been working with. And it's incredibly rewarding and valuable. And I'm very proud of the work that I do and the people that I've been able to help. So I'm thrilled to be able to support anyone who's signed on tonight, and happy to get into whatever level of detail people are interested in, and whatever objectives people may have, from either just start going from the Sunday scaries, where people feel as though they, are not really happy in their career and are not sure what to do about it, all the way into the specifics of negotiating an offer, or specific interview questions they're not quite sure about how to answer, or any questions about resumes, or how to structure a job search. I'm very open to discussing any of it. So I'm thrilled to be here, and very happy to talk to anybody. And also wanted to offer a freebie as well. I think there's information that came up on.
Yeah, Michelle, can you post the thing that I told you? If you could post that, that's great. Normally we have Priscilla, but Priscilla's getting her hair done tonight, you guys.
Oh, good
So
for her.
so she's
Everybody
great.
needs me time.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I put together a quick tip sheet on 5 ways to stay grounded in your career, to make sure that you're on a track that you want to be on, and doing everything that you can to move forward in your chosen career. So if you go to my site, there's a page that will allow you to sign up for my mailing list, and also get that free tip sheet. Thank you,
There it is.
Michelle. There it is.
So it's jobcoachamy.com/grounding for hyphen tips. Okay. And then Jody, thank you, Jody. Jody's listing your Instagram, your website, and your Facebook.
Thank you so
So
much, Jody.
so thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you for doing that. So here's a great thing, everybody. We all need a job. We all can use interviewing skills. And I have to tell you, I was telling Amy earlier, one of my favorite chapters in here. And there's so many, I can't even tell you. It's from, like resume, and it's developing a job search structure. But I have to go to chapter 3. So give me one moment, everybody. Link your objective to job categories. That was so cool. It's like, you have X plus Z equals this. And I was like, why didn't I know this back when? Why did I know this back when? So what to say to people so they will talk about their jobs. I mean, that's a great thing. She has it planted out, you guys, so well, so amazing. It is really great. And the developed tools, guys, is good too. I'm going to order another copy because I wanted to highlight stuff and I didn't want to ruin this copy. So it's really, really a great book, you guys. So here's what I'm going to tell for everybody. Because this is the month of being grounded, we're talking about grounded from the energetic piece. Being grounded in a job, being centered and being present in a job starts with your job search. It has to start with your job search. What is it that you want? What is it that you want to get out of? What's your passion? What's your like? What don't you like? What is it? And what would you say, Amy, would be the biggest mistake that people can make when they're looking for a job? Deanna says, great Christmas gift for kids and grandkids. You got that right. You
Yeah,
got that right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you, Deanna.
yeah.
Um, I think a couple things. So if you're in a job that you don't like, the biggest mistake is to run away from something and not towards something. And it's not just well, I guess they're all connected, right? So it's not
Right.
just a spiritual element, but it's a very practical element. And the practical element is that the most important question you get asked in any job interview is, why do you want this job? And if you have an inauthentic answer, it's very easy for us to spot. So I talk, when I say us, I'm talking about a hiring manager, because I like to speak to people as a hiring manager, which is my background, and what I feel gives is where my insight comes from. So if you say to me as a hiring manager in an interview, that you want this job because it's near your home, or you're really interested in the work, and or it's something that you've always been interested in, but it doesn't quite come across as authentic. If you don't have an example, if you don't say, I'm really interested in this kind of advertising work because since I was a kid, I've always loved going into drugstores and looking at what kinds of shampoo bottles there were, and what colors were being used, and how the bottles were being designed, and what were being marketed on. It's going to be a big difference between, I really like shampoo, and I really like I really love my hair, and I want to be in an agency that works with companies that sell shampoo. It's really easy to spot an answer that's inauthentic. So if you want to get into a new career, for example, selling products, and it doesn't have to, I mean, that's a pretty basic example, but if you want to know, I want to use the latest techniques that get people to buy products. I want to use the latest techniques to understand what drives people. I have a psychology degree. What drives people to buy some things and not others? What is it that sparks interest in one thing over another? It's very easy to spot an authentic answer versus an inauthentic answer. And if what you're really doing is trying to get away from a boss that you hate, or from a job that really bores you, and you just want to get into anything, I'm going to be able to tell. So
Mhm.
you need to start with what it is that you like doing. And often I think Elias was referring to a chapter I have that says, really, it's a good idea to start with making 3 lists. That's what I advise my clients to do. So one of the lists is kind of a crazy, wild, completely creative exercise in what are 5 to 10 jobs that I would like to have at companies that I would love to work for, that seem really cool to work for no particular reason at all. And what would I do there? And that's a completely wild guess. And who knows what you come up with? And one of the issues is, maybe you have no idea what jobs they would do there, but it seems like it would be
Mhm.
cool. And a really big issue, and Elias mentioned how to talk to people about jobs. It's really hard for them to do that. Nobody really kind of knows what jobs there are. I'm going off in a different direction here for a second, but bear with me. Um, it's really hard to know what jobs there are, except what kind of jobs are on TV. And actually, I do kind of a party trick at a lot of places where they'll have me come, and people will say, I'm not really sure what my husband, sibling, child, parent really do all day, but could you tell me this is their title and this is the company they work for? And I can do that because I've worked in so many different industries and clients, but most people don't really know what that means, or what their title and a company really do all day. And it's because nobody ever talks about it. It's really hard to talk about what you do when you're not doing it, because you don't want to. And you also have
Mhm.
to explain a lot of extraneous stuff to get to the meat of what you do. But getting people to talk about their job in a way that is interesting for them to talk about starts with a series of questions that are easy to answer, like, who's your customer at your company? What's the value
Mm.
that you add? How does your company make money? And how do you contribute to that value? How do you contribute to that company making money? Who are your competitors? How do you compete against them? What do you do to contribute to that contribution? So that's an element that's in my book as well. to get back to getting to an authentic reason to start a job search, that question about 10 things that you would really like to do or 5 things that you might really like to do at a company that you think might be really cool. That's a way to find out. Another list that you might want to make is things that you know you're good at doing. And things that you are good at doing tend to be things that you like doing. And these can be anything. I mean, I've had people say, "Well, I can't put down online shopping, can I?" And the answer is yes, you can. I mean, there are jobs for online shopping. It's called market research. And there are jobs where you do pretty much basic research and you capture data and you put it in a spreadsheet and you do analysis on it. And there are people that will pay you to do it. I mean, it's a little more formal than the kind of online shopping that you do, but there are jobs where you can do that. So put that down. And that's, something that tells you what you like doing. If you like talking to people all day, there are jobs that'll pay you to do that. It's kind of like, people say, oh, there's an app for that. There is a job for that. So write down 5 things that you know you really like doing. And 5 things that you know you're good at doing. There's probably some overlap, but don't necessarily think about it as a passion because that's a pretty heavy thing to hang on yourself. Do you really know it's a passion? And do you really feel okay about saying it's a passion of yours to go online shopping? Maybe not, but if you can say you like it and you're good at it, that's okay. And also something that gives you satisfaction. And one of the things I like to tell people is think about that day in college or that day when you wake up in the morning and you have a bunch of stuff to do, or that day at work when you get up and you say, oh, this is going to be a good day. Everything that's on my plate today, I like doing. What gives you satisfaction? What is on your calendar that day when you wake up and you think, oh, this is going to be a good day. I'm sitting at my desk making a presentation. I'm running around doing errands, getting a lot of things accomplished. I'm spending all day with my friends figuring something out for this volunteer project I'm doing. What are those things that make you feel excited when you get up in the morning and like you've accomplished something at the end of the day? And if you can put those things together, those are the kinds of things that'll give you a clue about what it is you want to do. And that's a really good starting place.
Awesome. 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 We've got some questions.
Okay.
So here we go. So Dolores said, what is the new way to answer, where do you see yourself in 10 years?
Oh my gosh. I think that's kind of a terrible question. Let me see. If somebody was asking me that, I think they're probably asking you if you are dedicated to the career, if you're dedicated to really working in this hard in this job and doing well in it. I think most companies do not necessarily have the capacity to career manage you for 10 years. I mean, if you were to say, I don't recommend doing this, but if you were to turn that around and say, if I do really, really well in this job and exceed all expectations, where would I be in 10 years? They would probably completely freak out because I don't think they have a career path for you in 10 years. However, if you are to answer that and say, wherever I am, I hope that I have accomplished a significant amount. I would like it to be in this career. I would maybe link it to the goals of the company. So if you're interviewing, for example, for a non-governmental organization, helping them, feed children or increase food supply on a continent or in a particular country, I'd say I would like to have made a significant contribution to the goals that you are also pursuing, helping increase food awareness and food accessibility to people in this region. If you were looking for a technology job in a fintech, I would say, I'm really hoping I can make a substantial contribution to the area of making financial technology improve the lives of people, of ordinary citizens. Whatever the goal of the job or the company or the overall industry is, I would recommend saying that you see yourself in it, having made significant contributions. Because I don't think seeing yourself as a senior vice president in the specific company is necessarily the way to go because things are so much more fluid and changing so much more rapidly. But I do think linking your own goals to the goals of the organization overall or the industry overall is a good way to answer that. Does that help?
That's really smart advice. I hope that helps, Delora. Because yeah, that's a good one for you, Delora. Really good. Danielle says no one ever knows what my job is. I
Oh,
do.
you do? Do you want to tell me and see if I can guess?
Well, I let me just tell you that it's over my head, and it's high tech. How's that?
Hi,
Hi, Rose.
Rose.
Uh, Deanna says my sister fundraises for university. That was never covered in career day.
Oh,
I'm sure
career
it
day.
wasn't.
Yeah,
Yes,
no, very little actually is. Yeah. And development, that's another thing too. Development is I was mentioning development to somebody the other day and they thought I was referring to product development or content development. So you have to also be careful because the same job title that's covered in my book too can mean two very different things.
sure.
So for example, being sales at a company. I think that I referred to Interstate Battery, and being sales there is very different than being sales at, I can't remember the name of the hospital supply company that I use, but it can mean if you're selling something at Interstate Battery, their market is both retail because they sell batteries to the public in stores and also to the automotive aftermarket, which means that they're selling to garages and to higher end automotive companies, manufacturers that do aftermarket. So, dealers who people come in and do, they sell to dealers. And with this, so two kinds of different sales. So you could be interviewing for a sales position in either kind, in a retail store or in a more business to business end. With this supply, a hospital supply company, you would be selling directly to the purchasing manager for a hospital company, which would be very, very different. You would be selling to a very high-end executive making a very, very large purchase for a hospital or a hospital system. So sales can mean something that's very, very different. It's a sales position is not just a sales position.
So
Development
true.
university is something that's very, very different because your customer is going to be the alumni base. It's going to be maybe corporations who have alumni in their very senior ranks, whereas development, for example, at a hospital is going to be local corporations. It's going to be wealthy people who they've helped. If it's going to be, it could be. If you're doing something like low income housing, development is going to be looking for government grants, looking for more federal income, federal grants, et cetera, that are going to help you do that. So a job title is not a job title, is not a job title. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up, that there are so many more jobs than people think there are. And a lot of them are really interesting.
Now, Amber is my professional stalker. She likes her job because she's really good at it. Uh, uh, the other Amber Marie says, so needed to be here for this. Excellent.
I'm glad.
Sarah, what are you doing up so late? It is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. It's 1:25 in the morning in the UK. Welcome, everyone. Thanks, Danielle. Dina has 2 questions. Guys, ask your questions. We're here for a bit. What to ask at the end of an interview when they say, do you have any questions for us?
Um, the answer is the questions that you ask are just as important as the questions that you answer. So in advance of an interview, you want to have a lot of questions prepared. And those can be kind of standard, what I call standard issue questions, things like, tell me about a typical day. Tell me about who my internal and external clients would be. Tell me about the characteristics that make someone really good in this role. Those are the kinds of questions that get people thinking that you're already in this role. And they're talking to you like a peer. They also get people thinking that you are completely focused on doing the absolute best job that you can in this role. You also want to add some questions to that list that you can get from looking at the website and saying, I see that you have a lot of clients in this industry. Is there any particular reason why you're focused on that industry? I see that you've written a white paper about this specific topic. I found that really interesting. Are there other white paper topics that you have in the works? Something where you've done a little bit of research to learn a little bit more about the company and and ask an educated question about it. So it's perfectly okay to say, I have a list of questions that I prepared in advance and I have them in front of me. Do you mind if I look down at this list while we're talking? The worst thing you can do is when they ask that question, is say, no, I don't have any more questions. You want to be as interested as possible. The person that wants the job the most always gets the job. And the person that wants the job the most will always have a lot of questions because they will always be extremely curious. So you always want to have more questions going into an interview than you will have time to answer. So you want to prepare as many as you can. And if you don't get to them all, that's fine. As always, the best questions to ask are the ones you want to know the answer to. So whatever questions that come up organically, feel free to ask them during the course of the interview, but have a set of prepare ones for that very reason when they ask that question at the end of the interview, because you don't want to have dead air.
That's smart.
The last one, the
Yeah.
next one, when you're asked what salary you're looking to get, be honest. That is really the only way to go. And again, this is a preparation question. I recommend that everybody have three numbers in their head before they start a job search. A number that is there like, woohoo, I'm taking a really fancy vacation with this new salary. Then a number in their head that's like, okay, this is worth switching. It's not exactly as high as I had hoped to, but I'm still going to be able to save a little more and have a little bit better life. The third number is, okay, this is not it's the lowest number, and it's okay. It's still worth doing because I absolutely want this move. And I may not be able to keep my gym membership, but I absolutely want to take this job and I'm going to do it. So you have a range. It shouldn't be, depending on where you are in your career, it shouldn't be more than, if you're entry level, maybe more than 10,000, more senior level, maybe more than, 30,000 at a more senior level. And when it says what salary you can afford to make, put somewhere in the middle, give your middle number. They won't throw you out for that number, even if you don't get to that level. But if they have something to offer that's not even close to what you're consider, why waste anybody's time? You should be honest with us, and we'll be honest with you.
That's awesome. That's great. Where were you when I was in the corporate field, Amy? Where were you? Because I'm like, oh, how did you? Because my Greek face was like, and tell me, how did you get started in the company? And in my head, I'm like, that was the dumbest question that you could ask us. How did you get started in this position?
No, that's not a dumb one. Everybody likes to talk about themselves, so that's always a good one.
Well, this one, oh, well, that's a whole other story. Anyway, okay, Jody says, how do you answer, what is your biggest weakness?
I love this one. Okay.
Me too.
This is on I have a hiring manager secrets campaign going right now, and this is tomorrow's hiring manager secret. So this one is actually a really good one. So when we ask, what's your biggest weakness? The secret is we don't really care what your biggest weakness is. We really don't. The secret is we care that you can admit that you have a weakness and that you can do something about it. Because whoever you are, even if you're like had a perfect SAT score and were the valedictorian of your college class, you're going to come into this job and we're going to have to teach you something. Or at some point you're going to make a mistake, because that's the way life is. And we don't want you to be like, what? I never make mistakes. You can't teach me anything. We don't want anybody defensive. We want you to be smart and hungry and humble. So we want you to admit that you have a mistake and that you're learning to correct it. So a really basic example is to say, you know what? I tend to always run late. So I've learned to set my watch 10 minutes in advance. You can say, you know what? I have always been a little bit disorganized. So when I was in college, I got a really big lesson. I have to be super organized. And sorry about that. I have all the tools. I've had to, I use sticky notes. I use um, uh, alarms on my phone. I use this, I use that. And I am a little bit over organized. But it's a skill that I've had to learn. It doesn't come naturally to me, but I have learned it, and I'm grateful for it. So whatever your weakness happens to be, just say that you're working on it, and that's what we care about.
I used to say, and it was true though. It was truly true. When people are like, "So, what is something that is your biggest weakness, your issue?" They would say your issue, and I said, "Well, I am impatient, not with others, but with myself. I've learned that I want this and I want to succeed, and I sometimes rush, but I've learned to really look and smell stop and smell the roses. So that always got me the job, everybody. That
Yeah,
always got me the job.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, and Danielle wants to know that she's an HRIS analyst.
Oh, well, sure. So you work with human resource systems, and you probably do analysis on how many days a week people were out, and what kind of PTO they took, and looking at how much raise you gave them last year versus someone will ask you to pull data on what level of raise you gave people overall last year, and how much PTO people took at this level versus that level, and how much medical benefits increased for people, and how many people took maternity leave, or what kind of systems need to be upgraded, et cetera.
Very cool.
Mhm.
Over my head, but very cool.
Mhm.
Um, Cheryl said, Amy said, if not a government organization, what if it is?
Oh, I said a non-government, an NGO, non-government organization. Oh, I just meant an NGO like the Peace Corps, or a UNICEF. So anything that was working in a country but not outside government aspect. Yeah, it also would work. That also would work for a government organization. I'm from New Jersey too, by the way. I talk about that a lot in my book.
Yes, because she does. She just says Jersey Coach Amy, which I love that part.
Yeah, I have an alter
Uh,
ego who is not as elegantly nice as job coach Amy. So
I love it. Um, Amber says, been trying to figure out what jobs are out there that don't require a degree and have good pay without having to be locked into a desk or stuck on a phone all day. Hmm.
okay. What comes to mind immediately is something in the real estate market, because I've had a lot of clients who have that criteria. Um, I would look into, there are a lot of companies that manage big real estate, commercial real estate holdings that require somebody to be there. And they're the people who kind of manage the loading dock. They manage the organizations on the ground floor that are retail spaces. And they also manage the offices above, who make sure that their HVAC is doing well, make sure that their internet is okay, make sure that their electric bills are paid, make sure that their rent is collected. Those kinds of a JLL is that kind of organization. Coldwell Banker Real Estate. Those organizations are extremely competitive now in terms of they're separate from real estate holdings per se, which is very big investment business. And those kinds of people are have very high level of expertise in finance. But the people who manage them tend to be people who don't necessarily need to have degrees, but they need to have very good people skills, and they tend to need to do a lot of walking around to make sure that things are okay. So packages getting delivered, supplies getting delivered, HVAC people getting in and out of offices quickly without disturbing the actual work. Those kinds of jobs are very good for not sitting behind a desk all day, although you do some reconciling of paperwork. I think there are other ones that are also related to services. restaurant type of roles, which are very, very much in demand right now. It's very hard to fill those kinds of roles. And anything that you can think of that you might see. And I often ask people to try to learn how to analyze businesses on their own. So if you think about the last thing you bought, and if it's a Starbucks, which it usually is, or maybe a shirt from Old Navy, think about how many jobs it took to get you there. And this is, I apologize, I'm not trying to really show the book, but this is in the book too. You know, a Starbucks, people often tell me, you know, that the most important job is a barista. Well, think about all the jobs it takes to bring you your coffee. The most important job at Starbucks, or one of the most important jobs, is actually the person who stands outside a potential site and with a clicker and counts the number of feet that go by, because it's really foot traffic that drives the success of a Starbucks. So you want to think about the people who find the sites, and that's not sitting at a desk job. You want to think about the people who design the interiors. That's a not sitting at a desk job. You want to think about the people who purchase the lighting fixtures and install the lighting fixtures. You want the people who pick the color scheme. You want to think about the people who are deciding what gets sold in the retail aspect and select what gets sold in the retail aspect. Retail is another area that is good for not sitting around behind a desk all day. You want to think about the algorithm it takes to decide how many cups and how much coffee to keep in store. Then they actually integrate all the way backwards to purchasing the coffee. They actually purchase the plantations, get the coffee transported, get the coffee processed, dried. They work with the people on the coffee plantations. They work with the people who do the contracts to get the coffee transported logistically, all the way from, bring it over from whatever country it's from in freight, get it, pick it up at the dock, get it transported onto trains, get it delivered, processed, ground. Think about it all the way to the level of every Starbucks has a limited amount of inventory space for cups, but you can't sell coffee without cups. So there has to be an algorithm for deciding how many cups get delivered to each store every day. There's a lot of jobs that are associated with that, and not all of them are sitting behind a desk. So if you think that way about a business, you can think about a lot of different jobs. I would recommend just keep reading job descriptions and keep thinking about what kinds of jobs there are and talking to people. Anything that's retail associated has a lot of jobs that require people to walk around a lot of things, check up on a lot of things, manage a lot of things that are physical, things that get transported. And you kind of think outside the box. There are so many jobs out there. And you just need to think about what they are and find out what they are and go for it.
Awesome. That's good. That's really good. Let's see. I'm going to get to the questions. Michelle says, with my extensive background in public and media relations, along with research and talent booking, how should I go about looking for a job working with people in the same or related field as Elias? Really? All right, Michelle. So are we talking doing the motivational speaking? Are we talking about the psychic medium stuff, or are we talking about life coaching, or doing what I do and combine all of that all together? So I'll wait on that. Unless you have something to add to this, Amy, before we wait for her.
Well, I think,
answer.
are you saying that you want to expand the work that you are already doing by finding clients like Elias?
Yeah. So Michelle, just answer. I'm going to keep on scrolling, but we'll come back to you. Okay. Nikki says it's still a good idea to send a thank you for the interview email, and anything specific you should include in the email.
I'm going to answer in two parts. The first one is yes. I always say to keep it very short, an appreciative first section, and then a second section, also very short, but just mention something that you discussed in the interview. Just say, thank you so much for your insight on subject A that you discussed. If there was something personal that you touched on, I'm glad to meet another Red Sox fan. It's interesting to know that your child is enjoying the blah, blah, blah school, anything that you touch. So she'll remember exactly who it is that you are, or he. Point two, which is more important. You this is how jobs are decided. So, and this is to get across the point that, but that by the time you write a thank you email, the job it's already done. So, and this is especially for women to make sure that you are as enthusiastic as possible in the interview. So, here's what happens. Let's say I have a job in my department. I'll interview maybe 7 candidates. I'll have 5 come back in for second interviews. I'll have 3 come back in for third interviews. After which I will bring my team in and I'll say, okay, everybody, what'd you think? Who should we hire? And everyone will kind of look at each other and say, they were all kind of the same, but this one wanted it the most. And at that point, by the time the thank you letter has arrived or the thank you email has arrived, it's over. You need to be as enthusiastic as possible in that interview because the person who gets the job is always the person who wants it the most. That's the way it works. And for women, it's really especially hard to sit in an interview and say, I'm the best person for this job and I really want it because we're all trained to be a little bit more demure, to sit back a little bit more, and to afterwards say, I really enjoyed meeting you. It's just so much more comfortable in this email to tell you how much I liked you and how good I know I'll be at this job. It's harder to do it live and say it in person, but you've got to do it. Really bring on the enthusiasm in the job because that's how you will get it. It's a really important point, again, one that no one ever tells you. So, yes, absolutely
Yeah.
write the thank you note, but really show your enthusiasm in the interview.
Thank you. Kelly says, how do you turn your soft skills into marketable skills, especially when desiring to switch fields late in life?
Okay, thank you. I love that question too. Um, really pair how your soft skills have made your accomplishments. So, soft skills, we all know there's so much research. That's the big part of being successful. So, use your collaborative skills to really do a new product, really launch a new product launch with a significant degree of success by working cross departmentally. Significantly improved revenues with in a new channel of co-marketing by through collaboration. Worked with a team to significantly reduce costs on a project with a third party vendor. Anything that really harnesses that soft skill together with an accomplishment is going to be what you want to put up front in your resume. Put the soft skills up front as in your accomplishments section. So I always, with a senior client, like to put up front highlights, career highlights, and you want to put them up there and link them to examples of significant accomplishments. Another thing about switching fields late, the most important thing is your glossary. So you absolutely need to get rid of anything that is reeks of your specific industry that someone else may not be able to interpret. Take out anything that's an acronym that someone may not understand. So, if you're in financial assets, take out AUM for assets under management because somebody in product technology is not going to understand what it means. Anything that's industry specific, get it out. And if you have any knowledge of what the glossary is in the industry that you're going for, put it in. You really need to it's really a language issue. We know it's not a skill issue. It is a language issue. You need to be able to speak to executives in your new industry without having them go, what you talking about? So be sure that you know what's going to stand out on your resume as lingo from your old industry and what's not going to translate. So be really, really careful of that.
Linda, thanks for being here. Lori, thanks for being here. Linda, no worries. You can always watch the replay. Lynn says, don't use an AOL email address
Or Hotmail.
or Hotmail. Yeah.
Mm.
And guys, those of you that have, I'll tell you this, because when I used to hire, when I was in management, if you have like a fun email name that's like, hot pink shorts at AOL.com. Probably something that you don't want on a resume.
Probably
Let's
at
see.
Hotmail.
Yeah. Let's see. Where are we going? Where are we going? Oh, Michelle says she was asking earlier about a field like me. She said, more like a right-hand person for you. I could book media interviews, live speaking events, etc. I'll go back to her original question, which was up here. With my extensive background in public and media relations, along with research and talent booking, how should I go about looking for a job working with people in the same or related field as Elias? I see what you're
I
saying
see.
now.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I would start looking for the conferences. I would go about it by looking at the kinds of conferences that Elias speaks at, and take a look at the presenters. There's always a list of keynoters and presenters, and approach them. I would send them a list of your successes. So if you were to send not the name of your client, but a small representation, so best-selling author, and then what you've been able to do for them. So increased by 1,000% their email list, book them on 3 national show, within 12 months, book them on 3 national TV shows, book them on, 2 Instagram lives with over 100,000 views, this, and this. So if you had like 6 figures and what you're able to do for them, and maybe a third column that translated into how much revenue it created, create that mailing as an email, and or design it as an email, have that be your website landing page as well, drive people inbound to your website, or send it outbound as an email. But definitely target the people like Elias who speak at conferences like Elias to get that name. Or if you have an industry association, I don't know Elias, industry associations are a good place to go for people too.
And Michelle, if you need someone to practice on, feel free to call me up and go ahead and book me wherever you want to book me.
LinkedIn is real for, I don't know about Elias's industry, but LinkedIn is actually a great tool. It's really good at serving up for you who you need, and serving up for you people that you're looking for. So if you put in Elias, they will say, here's other people you might be interested in. It will also serve up groups for you. So if you put in life coach and groups, it'll serve up groups for you that you might be interested in joining. They often have an administrator that will say, yeah, we'll have to approve you to join. But they're pretty good about that. And you can tell like which groups have 10 members and which members have 100,000. So you can select there. Yeah, LinkedIn is a great, great tool.
That's smart. Like, motivational speakers. And I would look up anything on Hay House if you look up all their publication and see what kind of subjects are they looking at and writing about. It's not just all about the woo-woo guys. There's so many different things, so many different layers, and it is all about self-development. It really is about personal self-development. All right, we've got a couple more questions. Let me just make sure. So if I missed you guys, please forgive me, because StreamYard and Facebook, it just goes like this, and I have to go back, and I'm like, oh, I didn't mean to miss that one. Tiana, public school system, good retirement benefits, easy hours while raising kids. Did I miss
God bless
something?
you.
Yeah.
Glad you can do that. And yeah.
Do gaps in employment override the amount of time spent at each job? Is it a bigger red flag?
I'd have to think about that in context. It's certainly short time of employment today isn't as big of an issue as it was. A gap, it depends on the story that you tell. So if a company fails, and you can say that, if your position is eliminated, if if you had an issue with your boss, um, all of those things happen, and we understand all of those things. The story needs, you need to be able to tell the story. If you have the exact skills that someone is looking for and they bring you in, there it's not going to make it, it's if you have the exact skills, someone will bring you in and it won't make as big a difference, but you're going to need to tell the story. So have your, what happens happens, and you can't do anything about it, and you can't let
Mhm.
that hold you back from where you want to go. But you do want to tell your story in a way that holds water and doesn't make it sound like you are bitter about the past and the way things unwound, or that you are a toxic employee of any sort. So all that matters is that you tell your story in a way that you've had no bad experiences, you've just had learning experiences, and that you're ready to apply the skills that you've gained in a way that's really positive in a positive environment. So I would say don't worry about any of those things. Just worry about how you present yourself in a really positive light. Because
I love that.
done, it's done.
Yeah. Any advice when having to go through unions when challenges arise in jobs?
Oh,
Good one, Jody.
yeah, I'm sorry. I have not done through unions. I know they're really, really hard. Is it a teachers union? Is that what you're?
We'll ask her. She'll
Okay.
answer in a minute. Let's see. There's a couple resume things here. Dolores says, "What is your opinion on resume writing services? I have many adaptable office computer skills, but I spent 25 years in newspaper. Employers aren't familiar with the skill set and pressure of my industry. I could juggle balls and spin plates while being shot with rubber bands." Look at you, Delora.
I would say, Delora, there's a lot of bad resume advice out there. I would be cautious, but there's got to be really good ones too. The one thing I can tell you is whether or not it's in the job description, there are three things that every hiring manager wants, and you get them from newspapers. The first one is attention to detail. Every hiring
Mhm.
manager has had a presentation or a paper or a spreadsheet go out with a mistake in it. And if you're another line of a defense of that not happening, then they're going to want you on their team. And that's certainly what anybody who works in a newspaper does, is do that kind of editing. The second one is being able to handle pressure. And juggle a lot of details under pressure. And that is certainly what somebody in a newspaper can do. And the third one is to be very well organized. And I don't know if everybody in a newspaper does that, but certainly to meet a deadline, you have to be organized. So if you can demonstrate those three things, I would really focus them. And again, focus on examples and evidence of having done that in your resume, then you're going to be very saleable. If you think about it, those three things are also what you do as a waitress. Keep a lot of details in
Mhm.
place, be very well organized, and do well under pressure. So when I talk about transferable skills, there are basic things that everybody needs in every job. And if you could talk about what you learned as a newspaper in your newspaper experience in that way, it can be applied to a lot of different things. Certainly with web development, everybody wants content. Everybody needs content edited. Everybody needs content put up quickly. So there are a lot of things that are very applicable in the job market today that come from being able to write and produce content.
So true. Awesome. How do we write in a resume that we have been a stay-at-home mom for the last 7 years? That's
Um,
a good one.
That's a really good question. It's a very specific, transition. There are organizations that will help you. God, what is the one in Boston? I'll send it to Elias and have him post it. There's one in Boston. I think it does guarantee you a job. It is an admin job. But they will give you the skills that you need on new basic software skills to get you a job that you need. Some of those services are really worth it. Now, I don't know, you do need some basic technical skills because things have changed in 7 years. It depends on what kind of job that you want. Again, focusing on the basic skills that you've had. And also, I would focus a lot on networking, because people that know you, if they know that you are someone who has a good work ethic, who is well organized, who will not be flaky, who will not be somebody who, comes in and works for 10 minutes and goes to get coffee and then spends the rest of the time talking to their kids or their friends on the phone the rest of the day. that goes a long, long way. So I would definitely work your network, maybe with people that you used to work with and anybody that you know, because there's a lot of people who need help, especially right now, and are looking to find people who have a good track record, no matter how long it was ago. So I would pull together, work with starting with your last resume. Think about anything you might have done for volunteer work that may have put some of your skills to use, and start networking and think and start asking about who might need help. Maybe start thinking about doing it on a part-time basis to get some of your skills back, and maybe start thinking about taking some courses. There are some free courses that Google offers in certificates in Google Analytics, Google Database, some of the newer courses in technology that have come up that you might be interested in taking and getting those on your resume as well.
Awesome. Hi, Patty and Peyton. Sorry, Patty and good at me. Look at me, Elias. Uh, Peyton, would you recommend showing a decent amount of personality and communication with a potential employer, or keep it understated and professional? I'm 21 and just breaking into the big girl work world.
I'm a fan of
Mm.
personality. You never want to be personal, but personality is great. People want to know who they're going to be working with. When you say communication, I don't think written communication is a good place to show personality, because they're going to expect you to be professional in your communication with their clients and with their peers and with their competitors, and with the public. So I would be professional in your written communication, like emails, but when you speak with them, I would definitely show your personality and show who they're getting, who they're gonna work, who they're gonna be working with, and not be too stiff.
And definitely get the book. Get the book. Dina, advice for those of us looking to enter the job market again post retirement, possibly remote after 60 years old, formerly a teacher.
Go for it. Again, there's a lot of work to be had right now. The Great Resignation has opened up the job market significantly. I would write down what your ideal role would be, and we're crossing over into Elias's world a little bit now, but there's no reason why you can't get exactly what you want. Think about what it is you might want to do, and go out there and try to look for it. Look at some job descriptions. Think about go and learn as much as you can. Read some. Business is not a black box. Business can be demystified because it is so much common sense, and the businesses that are coming up are businesses that are designed to make our lives easier. That's all that a startup will do, and technology is a lot of technical stuff that's designed to help us and help make our world more simple and more easy to understand and work more efficiently on some level in some way. So I would take some time to read a little bit about business. If there's some aspect of life that you are interested in, read about it. There's probably jobs associated with it. If you're interested in nonprofit work, I recommend idealist.com, and I also recommend indeed.com. And in both of those places, you can put in some keywords and the area that you live in and get jobs delivered to you every day, more than you can possibly read. And you might find one or two a week that sound interesting. Hopefully, they may get you to read some business books, take something out from the library, read a couple of articles. The more you learn, the more interested you'll get, and the more you may think about finding a role that you would be interested in. And if you read job descriptions, it'll also tell you what you need to learn in order to get one of those roles. You might find somebody that you know that's in one of them, or has a company or a friend who's working for a company that might need somebody to do a little something that you know how to do. So I would say be open, be curious, just keep learning. And personally, I think it's the world is a fascinating place. I'm about to turn 60, and I have no intention of stopping learning, because it is incredibly interesting. And I think working is a really great way to light up your life in many ways, including meeting people and just being out there learning new things. And please don't be afraid of business. It really is incredibly interesting.
We got a couple, and I'm going to do these a little faster. So, guys, hang on one second. D says, I'm a Jersey girl employed. However, I would like to start a temporary company no longer in Jersey because I telecommute. Any suggestions? I have a strong background.
Oh, a temporary company. Oh, for temps? For temporary employees?
Um, I would like to start a temporary company. Yeah, D, go ahead and let us know because I'm going to go to the next question real quick. I did a cover letter to explain my 10-year
Great.
gap of why I haven't worked, and that's awesome. Kim says, if someone asks in an interview, why did you left, and it was office politics, is it okay to say that?
I would spin it in a positive light. I would say something like, it was not a great environment, and I learned a lot from it. Um, but ultimately, it was better for me to leave. Again,
Hmm,
just something that says it wasn't. It was a not a bad experience, but a learning experience. So again, you don't want to give anybody a chance to wonder. I wonder if she did something bad.
right.
So you just want to say, or is someone going to come in with a chip on their shoulder? You want to, whatever it was, you don't want to make them wonder, and you don't want to make them think that you're still getting over it. You want to let them know that you're entering with a clean slate. Office politics happens all the time. Bad stuff happens all the time. Everybody gets that. Nobody wants to pass judgment. They just want to know that you're over it.
What if the gap in employment was due to incarceration? How do you address that issue?
I have no idea if I do not think you're legally allowed to. I do not think you legally have to say that, but I am not sure, and I don't know if it varies by state. I do not think you have to
So,
disclose that. I
yeah.
think you can say for personal reasons, and I think that's same because I think the same is true of disease, and
Mm,
it's nobody's business.
smart. Let's see. What if a gap of employment is due to, pardon me, offering elder care of a parent? Do I list caregiver on my resume, but my background is mortgage lending?
I think it's totally up to you. I think you can write personal. Um, I don't it that definitely is nobody's business. If you prefer, I don't think you want them to assume that you're a professional caregiver. I think that you can take family or personal, and you may offer to say that you left for family reasons to take care of an older relative. You do not have to. I don't think it's a bad idea to say because it's certainly something that happens to everyone, and it's no harm, no foul to certainly for a career. So I wouldn't necessarily list it as a caregiver so they don't get confused that you're of a dual career. I would list it as personal time.
I love that. Okay, here's first of all, Jody says you do not look 60.
Thank you, Jody.
She's not 60 yet. And my executive assistant skills are as far back as 30 years. Is a skill-based resume a better approach instead of the old setup? Who's the best help for redoing resume?
Um, well, my book has a lot of resume in it. I think, yeah, there's a big resume chapter. I think that I think LinkedIn gives you a free survey. If Lynn is still
I
on it,
think you're right.
you may have used it. Um, uh, yes. I mean, office skills are office skills. This is soft skills. You deal with people. I would recommend brushing up on Microsoft Office Suite, which is pretty basic. And I would see what other Google courses you might be interested. What other Google certificates might be of interest. They're free and they don't take that long. And I would take a LinkedIn, see what LinkedIn courses might be of interest to you. But yeah, the 30-year-old office skills are office skills are office skills. I mean, dealing with people, being organized, attention to detail, juggling a lot of things. Everything I've said about what's good in any job are certainly applicable to office skills. It's just the technical stuff that you should get certificates on.
Everybody's telling you thank you, thank you, thank you for your input. Good question and answer. So all awesome. Will you come back sometime
Of
because this
course,
was
I
good?
will.
But guys, I'm telling you, this is this. Give it to anybody that's going to graduate, anybody looking for a job. Get it for you. Have it as a tool because you know what? You never know. You never know that you're like, you know what? Today's the day. I'm going to brush up my resume and I want something different. I mean, it is chocked full, you guys, with information, chocked full. And
The next one's on career transitions, and I hope you'll all follow
oh,
me and get my job secrets, my job hiring manager secrets, and again, there's a freebie on the landing page that Elias showed.
yeah, can you share that again, Michelle, please? And guys, also just remember tomorrow, 5 p.m. Remember, we've got another surprise live tomorrow. We have a mystery guest. She was working undercover for the police. She is an intuitive, she's a medium and a psychic. She also rides a Harley. I was going to, so I'm going to say it on here. She said I could say it, but I didn't want to say it on TikTok. She was an undercover prostitute for the police. You're gonna want to totally come for that one. I'm gonna wait to I'm gonna wait to put your link on there, Amy. So we pause after that undercover prostitute piece, and then on
She's gonna be
Friday.
way more exciting than me.
No, you are amazing. You are amazing. And on Friday we have what Kelly says. Wow, that is a job. It is. Now I can tell. Now I can put this on there. Um, so also, I want you to know that on Friday, if you haven't signed up for it, go to eliaspatras.com, look under events and appearances. We're going to do a free Zoom. I'm going to have the owner of the retreat center be with us. So we're going to talk about the retreat. On Saturday, we got the 4 mediums, myself, Ginger, Peric, Laura Bryant, and Susan Fuller. We're going to talk about mediumship. We're going to talk about how we each do it. We're going to give you a little info on how to sort of maybe kind of sort of have an introduction to it for yourselves. And then I'm doing a workshop on the 11th. It is a lot. I'm trying to do the best, you guys, to bring people in here that are inspiring, people that will get you to think, just like Amy gets you to think. I mean, guys, it's on Amazon. Is it also on your website?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's on
great.
Barnes and Noble. It's on Apple Books. It's on a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. We can always count on your colorful orchestration of great guests. So grateful. Thank you. Thank you. Oh my God, Sarah, you stayed up this whole time? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, guys. Amy, hold the phone for a second.
Okay.
Everyone, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for showing the love. Sammy,
Thank
thank
you
you
for
for
your great
great
questions.
questions. Yes, thanks for the other, just crazy, crazy good questions. Thank you. Remember, guys, we are here to connect. And when we connect, we educate. And we educate, we grow. There is unity in community. From our hearts to yours. Mwah. Thanks for being here. Tomorrow, 7:30 a.m. Pacific time, TikTok meditation. Thanks, everybody. And we'll talk soon. Be well. And remember, all right, we'll talk. Take care, everyone.